the sea, that's my show. Ching that, swing that maestro. Still the thing looks nice though. Pull up that dice roll. Pull up that nasty. The gal them came to party. Hennessy mixed with sake. On road, my rolls all barking. I'm murking, I'm flirting. Pull up the Rari, I'm skirting. You don't wanna test my crew, cause you're gonna get slew for dead, man, I'm certain. M to the C, that's my show. Ching that, swing that maestro. Still the thing looks nice though. Pull up that dice roll. Pull up that nasty. The gal them came to party. Hennessy mixed with sake. On road, my bros all barking. I'm murking, I'm flirting. Pull up the Rari, I'm skirting. You don't wanna test my crew, cause you're gonna
dancing around the office, doing funny shit.
I don't know how true this is. Like somebody put an infographic. If your parents invested $399 in Nvidia instead of buying you the PS4 in 2013, today that shit would have cost you. I'm still going. I'm about to say how much. This shit would have cost you today. That would have basically grew into.
Spit
God
it
damn,
out,
the
Junior.
shit's it's still
Come
going,
on,
bro.
spit it out.
It's just whatever is that, bro.
Are you
Give me a
reading
number.
this long of an article that's
Right
giving you
now,
this
right now I'm at
explanation?
50K.
God damn. All right, Jay, hit us with an intro. We're live right now.
150K.
You heard me?
Yes. Welcome back, guys. GhettoRig episode 190. We have a good friend of mine, Chris, who I met at UFC Gym. But before we go into intro, a couple of words about our sponsors. We got UFC Gym Largo and Pinellas Park. Also, both of the Vitalities, Pinellas Park and St. Pete. Please support that, guys. If you're local, definitely come into the gym. If you want to learn wrestling, you got Chris. He's a wrestling coach, but he'll talk about it a little bit more. And then, learn your Junjitsu. Junjitsu. Learn how to kick and punch with Dorian, and Jiu-Jitsu with Adam.
Elbows and knees too. Don't forget.
Elbows and knees, yeah.
You saw him. He
and-
posted on his story the other day him teaching headbutts.
Yeah.
Like
He
what
did
is it?
Let's wait.
He said it was something else though. There's another one that also does headbutts too. That he was telling me it's like more.
Yeah. So
Continue.
and then stay tuned because Pinellas Park is getting very, very close to being open. But other than that, without further ado, Chris, we know you. Please introduce yourself, name, what you do, whatever you want to talk about, and then we'll just dive and go from there.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm Chris
Appreciate you
Borba.
coming.
Thank you. I'm from Cali. I'm from Watsonville, California. Flew out here probably right during COVID. So after 2021 January is when I moved out here. It's cool, man. I work as a PO out here for the state of Florida. So it's pretty. Florida's cool. It's different than the West Coast. East Coast is a lot different than the West Coast.
For sure.
So you say you came by. How did the PO part come around? Did you come here and get that, or you were already doing something over there and just kind of was a smooth transition?
Believe it or not, it took one PO when I was a kid in California. So I don't know if you guys know a lot about California. It's a lot of gang ridden stuff. So you either did sports or you did gang stuff. So I was kicking it with one of the buddies on my block, and I was 9 years old, and his dad's house got raided. So the cops came in, drew guns on us, arrested the dad. Um, Still remember his name, Officer Rodriguez. He pulled me to the side. I was already doing sports. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Well, this is my close friend." I was like, "I come here all the time." And he sat me on the cop car, They had shotguns pointed at us, had the guns taken away from us, and we kind of just sat there. And it took that uh, experience to be like, okay, maybe not all cops are bad. So then I wanted to, because you hear the stereotype, they're racist, this and that. One bad apple rots the whole fruit. So I wanted to help it from the inside out. So I wanted to be juvenile probation. So since that day when I was 9 years old, I always wanted to be a PO.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's real wholehearted of you, man. For
So
sure.
did you start that in California?
So I started interning for probation in college, and then I was working in the juvenile hall in California. And then once I graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology, I moved out here, and then I started working as juvenile PO out here.
That's cool. Was it hard to get the job here, or was it pretty smooth transmission?
It wasn't hard, man. I mean, that it's a revolving door. So
Mhm.
like, if you can't handle tough
I
situations,
see what you're saying.
yeah. So they're always hiring people. So if you can handle the job caseload, if you can handle like the worst of society, like you see kids, like I've been to houses where kids are sleeping on the floor and there's like 15 different people live in the house, to
Shit.
like going to a house where you're stepping on like dead mice, dead rats, like just stuff like that, man. So if you have like a stomach for stuff like that, the job's for you. But you go into like the darkest part of the world in the U.S. by yourself. So if you can't handle that, then it's probably not for you.
Yeah.
Wh- So you've been doing this for about quite a couple of years now, three,
Yeah.
4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what would you say was the so it seems like you're dealing with these strenuous situations. What would you say was like the hardest thing that to this day kind of like at the end of the night kind of like make like you like kind of think about it, but then you have to like kind of wait, I need to come back to reality. What is that one thing maybe or two things or whatever?
So working with kids, the hardest part is having a kid on a caseload and then they die from getting shot.
Oh shit.
So I used to work. Charles Park used to be my area, so I had a lot of
Charles
kids.
Park.
Yeah, so I had a lot.
Charles Park's been known for years and years in this area. Like it's gotten much better,
Mhm.
but like back in the 90s and early 2000s, a lot of Asian gangs were very prominent here in 90s, and then Charles Park was known as one of the areas where gang members just kind of concentrated within St. Pete. St. Pete has gotten cleaner
Mhm.
with gentrification
Yeah.
and people buying out things in Southside and just cleaning everything
Ever
up.
since I was a kid, I knew Child's Park was an area. Don't go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a saying, you don't go to Charles Park after dark. Well, that's when we go do house visits. So we're knocking, like, it was to the point where I was in Charles Park so much. They'd be like, hey, who are you looking for today? And I'd be like, oh, I'm looking for so and so. They're like, oh, he's down there at his cousin's house. You know he's not supposed to be there. So then I'll go to be like, what are you doing here? Trying to talk to the kids. But the hardest part, man, I had two kids on my caseload. I did juvenile probation for 2 years before I switched to adults.
So you're doing adults now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So juvenile, I had a kid on my caseload. I literally just talked to him that morning. He got killed that night.
Shit. Was it a drive by or he just got
Drive
involved
by.
in something?
He got killed at his house in front of his mom.
Damn.
Yeah.
Now, have you noticed within the past couple of years since you've been here, first started and now, has that gotten a little bit better? Is there less crime or is it just about the same?
It's hard, man, because this generation's a lot different than the older generation. This generation, they're a lot of YouTube gangsters. So everybody sees like young boy, whatever that rapper is, or they'll see like
NBA Youngboy.
Yeah, that's the one. Or they'll see Blueface, and they're doing dumb stuff on YouTube, so they think that's cool. So now it's more of like, instead of, hey, this is my block, this is your block, we don't like each other. This is like, oh, this is they try to act like the rappers, and that's why you see them start dressing like rappers nowadays and stuff like that.
So then, so is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's just the generation we live in, man. With all the social media that we have nowadays, it's hard to steer a kid from a certain way. One, because of just generational. In California, a lot of gang stuff is generational. So your grandfather was a gang member, your dad was a gang member, now you're a gang member, you're a third generation gang member, and that's all you know because that's all you grow up on. So you're always a hot boy. But out here, so your parents aren't doing something, now you're not doing something, and a lot of the times, man, it's not even the kids, because we gotta ask like the parents to sign them up for like treatment and stuff like that. But if the parent don't call, the kid gets held accountable for it because it's his part of his probation. So if they don't do it, how are you gonna help the kid? You know what I'm saying? Which is the hard part. So I'm more upset at the parents than I am at the kid.
Right.
Was that one of the reasons where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go with the adults? At least with adults, I can hold them accountable.
Yeah. So it was a lot. I don't agree with a lot of.
And I didn't mean to take this so heavy
Oh
right
no,
away
no,
off the
that's fine.
get. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't agree with a lot of the criminal justice system for the juveniles, California or here. Um, Out here, you do a GTA, you do 21 days, and then you get released. And now you're back and still in another car, you're still in another car, still in another car. Where in Cali, at least they have you do a GTA, you sit there 6 months, they figure out what they want to do with you, and then they'll put you on probation or.
So Cali's not as liberal as you would think it is, because the way you're saying Florida is a little more liberal when it comes to that.
When it comes to that, but this is the caveat to that. When they go to adult, all your juvenile charges follow you for within the 3 years, so you can get rack up 21 points. Right? I had this kid stole cars his whole juvenile career, turned 18, 19, stole a pregnancy test and a coke, and he got 15 years because all his juveniles
God
followed him.
damn.
Yeah, man.
And that was probably his girl got fucking pregnant and he didn't have money, so he had
Was
to
that
get the
here,
pregnancy.
or-
that was here in Florida.
So they actually prosecuted him for a fucking pregnancy test and a coke
And the coke because all his stuff
because of his
followed him.
record.
Yeah.
Followed him, yeah.
Yep.
God damn.
So that I couldn't get with. I couldn't get jiggy with it. So I went to adult. I was like, "You're gonna come here regardless. So I'll wait for you to come out. Maybe I can make a difference there." So that's why I switched to adult probation.
Easier to make an influence and change.
Yeah, man, because you're not here. Tomorrow's not promised. So if I can change somebody's life, because you think about it, you change somebody's life, and then they think about the people they talk to a day. Now he changes somebody's
That
life.
effect spreads.
Yep, and it just keeps going. So you change one person out of 100, you did your job.
So now this has been a hot topic, you know, in the past couple of years, and you know, you had George Floyd, and then you had what's the lady's name that
Breonna
got shot?
Taylor.
Breonna Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a lot of those bad apples within in our area, or is it not just what it is, what it is that people portray it to be?
So a lot of that is media. So media wants you to be a bad guy. So like I said, there's always a bad apple in a certain organization. So but I work out here with like a lot of the different police departments and sheriffs. And
Oh, so you guys are a separate entity completely.
yeah, we're completely separate. But if we need like a canine unit, we'll call the sheriffs, and then we'll come and track somebody down that ran from us. But a lot of the guys that work for like the sheriffs and stuff like that are real solid dudes. Like they will give their shirt off their back for you. Now, on the flip coin of that, growing up in California, the biggest gang was the police. They would come mess with you. They would we'd be just chilling on the street, and they'll roll 6 cars deep and start jacking us for nothing, just because we fit a description. Here in California, everybody's Mexican. So you know what I'm saying? Mexican with tattoos, you fit a description.
Yeah,
Alright,
not everyone is Salvadorian. Not everyone is Amara Salvatrucha. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they just come and jack you, and out there it's ran by the prisons. So a lot of the foot soldier stuff comes from the prisons. So out there, the cops are like, well, you dress this way, you walk like a duck, quack like a duck, you're a duck.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you live in that town or live in that neighborhood, you're automatically assumed that's what you are, and that's just people who you grew up with. You know, growing up, you get a small community. Like we used to do block parties and stuff like that, and the cops will come and then just wait and shut it down, or like the cops will come, make it more of a scene, and then that's when stuff happens because they're already pissed off. You know, people.
Yeah, I mean, even growing up, because I didn't grow up, let's say, like, for example, I didn't grow up on the south side of St. Pete. I grew up basically in this house right here. I went to, since 5 years old, I grew up right here. So you know what part of town we're in.
Your sound
basically,
is low.
right?
Whose sound is low?
low.
Can you put a comment in? Whose sound is low?
So, yeah, I mean, even, let's
Sleep
say,
on the floor and they're
You didn't grow up.
It's his microphone.
But
He's got to
what-
pull it a little bit more towards his face.
going
There
to
you go.
a house
what
where
what I was gonna,
you're
we can hear,
stepping
Miggy, if you
on,
can mute it,
like,
please.
Oh yeah, I'm
dead
sorry.
mice,
Um,
dead rat.
What I mean to say by that is, even for the kids that I knew grew up around me, and I hung out with those kids and went on the south side and hung out and stuff like that, the police wasn't such a prominent part of our lives as you're explaining, right? So like even in like the worst part of town, as you would put it, right? It wasn't as crazy as you're explaining how it was in California. Like police being that part of a big part of your life, you know, and making such like a day-to-day thing for you guys to watch out, like when the cops are coming or whatever, and you're not even doing anything wrong. Here it was really, if you're not doing anything wrong, you never even thought twice about it.
Mickey's saying the whole show.
And
can we bump
even
up
most of the people doing stuff wrong didn't think twice about it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't as prominent as you're saying, basically.
And that's the crazy part too, because like it was so prominent back home. We would play games, so when the police would come, they would play. It was called "Don't Get Caught," so we turned it into a game because it happened so much. So then you start getting animosity towards the law enforcement.
That's 100%.
So that it took me a long time to open up for law enforcement just because of the way it grew up. But some of the most solid people I've ever met are in law enforcement. And you got to think, man, who are you going to call? You're going to call the law enforcement.
Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
No, I didn't
Try messing.
It's good.
It's good.
I just checked on here.
You're going to call law enforcement when something
You could
goes
try
down.
messing with the filters that's on the 1-8
So,
and
it's
bump it a little bit. The gain filter
It just
that's on
depends,
the.
man.
You can
Mike?
hear. I'll test that on a little bit. I think it was just because his microphone was
Okay.
off.
Well, he was saying
Um,
the whole show. He's saying it's the whole show
But
on the comments.
let's see, man, throwing us off. We continue.
But yeah, man. So
Don't get copped.
don't get copped. But if you want to make a difference, and you like the people that I don't want to like people that are big social media people, like try to be like, oh, I'm an activist for this and that. Well, if you want to change something, change it from the inside. Don't change it from holding a sign up outside. If you want to change the inside, you got to go inside. So that's why I wanted to be a PO at such a young age.
Well, yeah. See, like you actually took action about it. You know, there's a couple of clips out there on internet where people will approach someone and be like, you know, because immigration was, you know, I don't want to bring it to politics, but it's a good example. Not going to politics, right? Like, you know, they were talking about the immigration, this and that, and they'll approach somebody and they're like, you know, what do you think about immigration? These people will be like, yeah, that's bad. When you know we need to let Americans live, and then the guy will be like, ven pa acá, and then some guy will approach him and he speaks only Hispanic. He's like, well, we got an immigrant for you. He doesn't have where to live. You want to take him with you? You house him and things like that. They're like, well, no, that's not what I mean. It's like, but you're saying we need to take care of the people. Why don't you be part of the, you know? And basically, what I'm trying to say, there's there's a very small majority of left-leaning people that do that hold the signs and they scream very loud. And I think what happened was the Democratic Party just kind of got fed into it, because if they don't, they get canceled and things like that. And I think a lot of them just scream for the attention, but they don't really take any fucking action. They just kind of like, I want this to be changed and you should change it for me type of deal. And no one is actually like physically going out there and doing anything about it. So I think there's a lot of that
I
going
think
on.
there's also good in that too, though, with social media and people being able to spread word, because sometimes you'll hear something and you'll go, "Damn, I never thought about that," but you're right, that should be changed or whatever it is, right? So there's always good in spreading word and being able to have so much information at your fingertips. I think that it's just how people manipulate that system.
Yeah, it's about
you
the
know?
clipping, right? Like it depends what clip you looked at. If they clipped it to put it in a bad light, you're gonna see it in a bad light. But if they clipped it to put it in a good light, you're gonna see it in a good light, regardless
Even
of what the conversation is about.
even like for example, you could go to a, let's say you know nothing about politics and you just go to one Biden rally or one Trump rally or whatever it is, right? You still don't have all the context.
Yeah.
You still don't have all the context. You know what I mean? So regardless of how it's clipped and all that stuff too, you with the amount of information out there, you have to be so well informed, right? And
Well, talking about that, I just heard today, I didn't know about this, that his son, the youngest son, the one that's super tall right now, he was the reason that Trump went on that many podcasts. He was basically telling me, you need to go on podcasts, you need to go to podcasts. And that was basically, anyway, just nor here nor there.
That's the good thing about social media. It's a double-sided sword. You get the negative with the good. So if you use social media to spread awareness about something, like I loved when they did the ALS challenge, when it was the ice bucket challenge, because a lot of people didn't know what the hell ALS
Yeah,
was.
I didn't know what the fuck ALS
But then
was.
you watch the thing, and then you look up like, well, let me look up what ALS is, and then that's something you can get behind.
yeah,
On the flip side of that, when everybody wanted to defund the police and stuff, everybody's like, oh yeah, we need to defund the police, we need to do this, do that. But then when they need something,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's just
Well, see, how do you look at that whole defund the police thing? Yeah, that whole defund the police thing. To me, I lived majority of my life in a different, well, not majority of my life I lived in the United States, but when I was 9, I lived in a country that was post Soviet Union
mm,
when there was no rules, no police, no, we didn't even have fucking lights on the
yeah,
streets. Nobody, we did have them, just no one really cared to follow that,
yeah,
and police wasn't there to do
In
anything.
the
And then when I moved to Lithuania, I experienced a little bit of that for a couple of years, and then it just kind of started getting slowly better. But then again, there was a lot of corruption. If you were speeding, you give them a little bit of money and they'll let you go,
mm,
which
how it is in
no
DR.
longer
yeah,
happens. Which no longer happens now. Now it's more of a like a first world country, right?
mm,
Part of European Union, and everything's kind of clean, like us. To me, when someone says defund the police, to me that's like you have no idea what the other side of defund the police is.
mm,
It's
Like
terrible.
if you had,
It's a terrible outcome.
yeah,
A lot more negative comes from defunding the police than positive for sure.
yeah, and it's like you don't know what the other side is. Like if you knew what the other side of defund the police was,
mm,
and you're coming out from a point of authority, and you actually knew what's going on, and you gave a logical explanation why you want to defund the police, I can get behind that. Like, all right, you make sense. But majority of these people are saying defund the police because they use brutality and force. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why don't we put those that are not doing everything right, get rid of them, and then keep the police? Wouldn't that make more fucking sense?
and that's where I tell everybody like, hey man, like anybody that whether you feel like you need to defund the police or pro police, I think you need to go do a ride along with these guys before you can make a decision. Because granted, they're not going to take you into like the bad areas because you're a liability at that point. But go see how people talk to you when you pull somebody over. See how bad mouth people talk to you. Like the people that get it the worst. Granted, a lot of people are just having a bad day, but those like think of the parking meter people. Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
just doing their job. You parked illegally, but now you're mad at somebody for doing their job.
Mhm. I like the towing one's the best. You definitely didn't pay your shit.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I think when it comes to government jobs in general, we have a kind of an issue with we need better people.
yeah.
I mean, not only through law enforcement. I think that in the one case we can maybe say like maybe people like firefighters and paramedics, people like that. No complaint there, right? But they people complain about the law enforcement system, right? Or they'll complain about the education, right? I think we definitely need to mess with the education system a lot, right? So, what do we do to get better people into those jobs?
See, that's the hard part. That's what the revolving door
I
is.
think number one is the pay.
Yeah,
Number one is the fucking pay.
yeah.
You increase the pay because this happened back in, I think it was in 70s. Don't quote me on a year, but we had, in the United States we had a huge problem with nurses. No one, like, they couldn't get nurses in. So what they decided to do is like bump up the pay, give incentives for kids to go to college, and right now a nurse out of school, you get out, you're making $80,000 a year as a nurse, which is a 2 year degree right after high school, a 2 year degree. You don't even need to get a bachelor's to become a nurse. You go to local St. Petersburg College, get your 2 year degree, and now you're a nurse making $80,000 a year. And some of these people will join the traveling nurses, and they can go up to 150, 200, $250,000 a year with having only a 2 year degree.
Yeah, but you still have people that grow up wanting to be a police officer, grow up in this case, right? Wanting to be a probation officer or wanting to
But
be a
some of them,
teacher.
some of them will
right?
make it, some of them won't, because you have to still cut it. When you increase the bump up the pay, you also increase the competition. Now, best of the best want to do this because it's a larger pay. So yes,
100%.
even if you want to do that, you might not cut it. You know what I mean? So you still getting it still filters down to the best of the best.
Yeah, it's like throwing I don't know if you guys fish a lot, but you know how people throw the cast net.
Mm-hmm.
You throw a bigger net, you're more likely to get more fish. So I think increasing pay is definitely one of the biggest problems, and definitely in Florida. Granted, you make a lot more in California because of the higher living, but
Which comes out to be the same shit.
I think it's crazy, man. I haven't met so many people from California up until like the past few years, right? With Brian Dyer and
Yeah.
then Zen's wife coming over and stuff like that, and them and me listening to or Adam, right? Me listening to them be like, man, the stuff is so cheap over here compared to Cali, and I'm like,
oh yeah, a lot.
damn, that surprises me, right? Because, for example, if you look at Pinellas County, right? It's so Pinellas County, and you go to Tampa, right? It's so expensive compared to you go a little south or a little north, and it drops in price drastically.
I had a cousin from my grandma's side of the family that came from Cali one time, and he was saying the same stuff. He was like walking around the store and stuff. He's like, "Wow, everything's so cheap here." Yeah, oh my god. I was like, "Bro, this guy's rich. What the fuck?"
The crazy part is just like, it's also like in places like California or even things like New York where most people grow up fathoming that they probably won't even be able to buy a house.
Yep.
Most people
Yeah.
rent a house for the entire
That
life.
is true.
Yep.
So, over here, we at least still fathom buying a house, but we just look at it as being like, damn, it's so much more expensive than when my parents bought the house. You know what I mean? Like, by an insane amount. You know what I mean? It's probably
You're
gone up.
slowly becoming an old man. I
What-
remember when the eggs and milk used to be $2.
Well, dude, if you like look at the gas from California compared to here, like it's $6 a gallon. When it was COVID, it was $8 a gallon. Out here, you can go get gas for $3.
Bro, if it was $8 a gallon here, you'd see the rednecks literally,
Rioting.
literally with fucking pitchforks and torches outside, bro. I'm telling you, they
I wanna-
wild out.
I went on a recruiting trip to Kansas, for football when I was going to look at schools to play for, and they were mad because gas went up 25 cents, and it was $1.25. I was like, if you ever talk to me about gas again, I was like, every one of you can get it, bro.
Yeah.
So how did I know I'm switching the subject here because you're also a wrestling coach. How did that come about?
So I started wrestling at a young age, man. Like I said, you either did sports or gang stuff. So at a young age, my mom put me in a lot of sports. So I did football, I did wrestling, and I did baseball. And then in the summers, I get shipped out somewhere. I was a badass kid. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I started wrestling.
What is one of the worst things you did as a kid?
I
What
can't
kind of
tell.
bad kid?
I can't tell you because
What's the worst? Or what's the worst thing you can tell us? Something you did in school. What kind of thing would you do to a teacher?
I got in fights. I did beat up a teacher one time.
Damn. All right,
Oh,
you were a bad kid.
damn,
All right.
okay.
All right. You don't gotta go
And
further than
that's a
that.
mild.
That's a mild offense in
Yeah.
your case.
Yeah, that's mild. But
But it was one of those monkey see, monkey do things, right? Because of the where you were growing up and the
Yeah,
outside influences and whatnot.
we just fought. Like people like used to do slap boxing, or you do like body blows.
We
So
did
you-
that.
So you
We
just
did
punch-
that.
So that was mild. So that was when you were just like bored in the
Now we're
house.
just chilling.
And then so we used to walk around with boxing gloves in our backpack. So it'd be like recess time, be like, we're like elementary school, and be like, bro, you want to box on lunch? Like we can run it right by the cafeteria.
That's crazy.
And so growing up, you learn how to fight. Well, you think you learn how to fight, and then you
Right.
start doing MMA,
Right.
and then you don't know shit.
Right.
So that's why I think. Side note, that's why I think it's funny when the guys go into the gyms and
I see red.
street fighters,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're like, "I'm a street fighter, I've never lost," and then get their ass kicked.
Yeah, I see red.
Yeah, that's that pisses me off so much.
I see red. Nobody can stop me.
Yeah. But
That's hilarious.
you just learn how to fight. That's just what you do. Like you fight your cousins. Like we just be chilling outside and be like, we used to play tag with rocks, fucking throwing rocks at each other, like you just dumb stuff. My grandfather had a farm, so we would go to my grandfather's farm, and it was 5 acres, and it was just no hose bars, just fucking fighting each other in the hay barn, like just a bunch of crazy stuff, man. So
Oh man.
my mom put me in sports to combat my anger and like aggressiveness.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did wrestling. I actually didn't like wrestling for the longest time. I did it because my brother was good at it. My uncle did it. My cousins did it. So it was kind of like a family thing. You had to do it.
Right.
So I stopped wrestling when I turned like maybe 12. And granted, like I was good at it, but I didn't like it, which made a lot of people upset. So I was like, I got invited to the Kid Olympics to go wrestle while my brother was wrestling for a state tournament championship. And there's a picture that my mom still has from the newspaper, and me and my brother are pinning our opponents the same way. And I was 8 years old, and he was wrestling at a tournament. So wrestling's always been in my life. And then, like I said, I always wanted to help the kids. So I wrestled, went to college, wrestled in college, came out, was coaching wrestling at an MMA gym, coaching at the local high schools. And then, I don't know.
What college did you go to?
I went to Simpson University in Redding, California. I met this guy named Andre Wallen. He works at the the Pinellas County Jail. He's the head coach at Gibbs
High school.
High School. And the way I met him was through the AD because I had
That's
people.
a badass fucking bridge. Holy shit. Did
Yeah,
you
that
see
was Reading. Yeah, that was what was it called?
They got a whole cheer team and everything.
Yeah, they just got that. They just got a football team. They have one of the best nursing programs in California.
Nice.
But I met the AD because I had kids on probation there. Went there, met
What's
him.
AD, just for people that are watching?
Yeah, we
And
don't
for
know.
me, 'cause I don't know what the fuck that is.
I'm not gonna
AD
lie.
is like the guy that runs the sports.
Okay.
So he's like the director for sports.
Executive
So
director of sports.
Some assistant director or something
Yeah,
like that.
So he introduced me to that. So that's how I started doing that. Started helping kids there. So that's been a blessing. I like working with kids, especially trouble kids, because Gibbs is in Charles Park. So I know
Yes.
all the kids that go there, So that's how I started coaching out here.
That's
That's
awesome,
cool.
man. What made you come out to Florida?
So
If you can talk about it.
Yeah. So like I said, I was a trouble kid growing up. So my uncle lives out here in Clearwater, and we would come out here with my grandmother and my mom, and a lot of people where I grew up, you don't leave the hometown.
Mm-hmm.
So I was blessed that my grandmother was able to send me places because that's who raised me, my grandmother and grandfather, and they would send me out here with my uncle. And he was one of the first wrestlers in our family. So he's like, well, what are you trying to do this year? I'm like, well, I'm trying to place the states, or I'm trying to do this, trying to do that. He's like, okay, well, we're training. So when I got out here, we would just train the whole time. And I fell in love with the area. I fell in love with Clearwater. Granted, I never left the block because, like I said, in California, if you walk down one street and down another, you're in another block. Now you're getting jumped. So I never left his area, and when we go for runs, he would follow me behind the car. So, funny story, I was doing a run here in Florida. I was running to stay in shape for wrestling for high school.
What was your what category was it?
I wrestled heavyweights. I wrestled 285.
285.
So we were running, and the cops got called on me because they thought I stole something.
Oh,
Because I'm running with a hoodie.
nice.
So that was
They didn't see the car trailing yet?
no. So my uncle got stopped at a light when I
Oh
was
shit.
running. So when
He's like, I'll catch up to him. I'm in the car, so he
Yeah.
didn't bother. Yeah.
So when the cop was already pulling me over and talking to me, my first instinct was to run. Yeah,
Oh
just-
shit.
but- I was like, the first thing that they teach you is when cops come, you're just like, hey, like this is my hands right here.
Mm-hmm.
So when he came, I was like this. Granted, the cop wasn't pulling a gun or nothing, but this is what they teach you.
Yeah.
And my uncle's like, no, he's training, he's with me. And they're like, oh, okay. Somebody called, said that there was a suspicious person with a hoodie running.
That shit happened to me and my brother, bro. We were replacing my
Maybe?
front door. Both of us replacing my front door. I have no shirt on. Like I'm just wearing shorts.
Oh,
And
this is hilarious.
We're replacing the door, and fucking next thing we know, whoop whoop, pull over. Some lady comes out. She's like, "What are you guys doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What are we doing? We're replacing a door." You don't see it? It's like, "Oh yeah, somebody called. They're saying that you're trying to break into the house." It's my motherfucking house. I got no fucking shirt on. What are you talking about? It's like middle of the day, you know?
And that's the thing too. When it's sometimes it's not the cops, it's what the information they're given. So driving from Cali to Florida, I went through a lot of states that you can deem racist. So I went through like Kentucky, Wyoming, stuff like that. So I was literally at a gas station getting the Subway sandwich, and they thought that I kidnapped my girl. So they were asking her if she was okay, did she need help, and they called the cops.
His girl is white.
Yeah,
She's like
she's blonde hair,
snowflake
blue eye, white.
yeah.
Like, never mind. I'm gonna keep that joke to myself. But yeah, they called the cops.
We're all
and-
about it. Just so you know, we're all about it.
I love comedy.
The bad ones too. The really bad ones are the best ones.
love
usually.
comedy.
And the cops came and said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm ordering a sandwich." Like,
What the fuck do you mean? What am I
they're
doing?
Like,
I'm in the pepper section right now. Is that what you?
I was like, he's like, "Who are you with?" I was like, "My girl. She's over there getting drinks. I'm ordering the sandwiches." So they're like, "Oh, so she voluntarily came?" I was like, "I hope so." I was like, "We drove from Cali and we're in Kentucky. We're halfway there. Like, I
Yeah.
hope she came because she wanted to."
Yeah.
So and then it happened again, and Wyoming.
Same thing?
Yeah.
No way, bro. That's fucking wild.
Or it happened in Wyoming, then happened in Kentucky. And then same thing, the cops came. I'm getting like chips and like something to drink. And they pull in and they stare at me. They're like, "You, what are you doing?" I was like, "Getting the chips and the drink." I was like, "Unless I'm not allowed to." See, that's
You should have just hit him with the, "Is this not my section, sir? Is there another
Well,
one?
yeah.
Is there another
Is there
spot I'm
back
supposed
of the store I need to be in?
Yeah,
you
am
know
I
what I mean?
supposed
Like,
to
what
shop
the
in a
fuck?
different area?"
it gets worse, man, because so I'm super nice to law enforcement until they're a-holes back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I meet force with force, so they were being dickheads. So when I was
Turn into a
leaving,
dickhead too.
when I was leaving, I blew a kiss at him.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's some shit I would do. That's what I do to road rage people.
Yeah.
I blow kisses at them.
Yeah, I blew a kiss at him, man, and
Did they escort you the whole way until
yeah,
the
they
fucking
followed me the whole way.
the fucking state line?
Yeah, and like when I got to the clerk, I said it's on him, and then they looked at the clerk looked at him, and he goes like this. I was like, damn, man. I was like, you following me? I was like, you must want something. And, obviously I paid for my stuff, left, and as I was leaving, they're getting in their car, and I blew a kiss and waved. But I used to do like stuff like that all the time. Like I got pulled over one time, and this dude was just being an a-hole. He's like, "Where are you going?" This and that, and I don't know what it is. I always get cuffed when I get pulled over. I don't know if it's because I'm a
Bro.
big Mexican or what.
They feel intimidated, bro. What you mean? You're like a cinder block. What the fuck?
So I get cuffed every time, and there's always backup for some reason. They're like,
They don't feel safe, bro. They
Yeah,
don't feel
that's
safe.
the thing. They're like, for our safety, we're gonna cuff you. I was like, all right, cool. So I'm sitting on the fucking hood of the car, and they're talking to me, where you going in this, telling them where I'm going, and then they keep asking me where I'm going. I was like, I'm going to your wife's house. Like, what? What do you want from me? They're like, oh, you're a smart mouth. I was like, that's what your mama said. And, like, and it took me a long time to like be more patient with him. And like now I'm super patient. I'll like answer all the questions and stuff like that. But growing up, man, I had such a smart mouth. It was bad, man. They would our SRO would come, and our school was so bad.
And
that-
what's an SRO?
That was like that was like the school, the
a
campus
resource officer.
Yeah,
Okay.
campus resource officer.
So we had canines at our high school.
Oh really?
Yeah, so they would come, bring the dogs in, sniff the backpack, make sure there was no drugs or anything.
They would do that every once in a
Yeah, I
while.
was gonna say.
Oh no, these were like strictly for the high school. Like that was it.
Yeah, no, they only came through every once in a while through my high school. I remember them coming
They-
to the class
To
sniffing
say
the
that they're
bags.
doing something.
Yeah, and then we'd be like taking a test, and then all of a sudden the dog smelling my leg. and I, like I said, in high school, I had a small mouth. So I was like, oh, he must be smelling the beef jerky that I had. And, the cop would be like, well, don't talk to him. I was like, well, fuck. If he's Scooby-Doo, I'm going to talk to him. Like, I just had a smart mouth, man. And, like, you guys remember the
shit.
DARE program?
Yeah.
So they used to come to the schools. Well, I was 6 years old, and they came, and they like, all right, this is how the dog finds drugs on the car. I was like, cool, whatever. And then they're like, go hide the little thing so the dog can find it. I was like, I really don't want to do this. And they're like, no, go hide it. I was like, I really don't want to. And he's like, no, seriously, go hide it. I was like, all right, man, you want me to hide this? I'll go hide it. So he took the dog, whatever. I climbed underneath the car, put that motherfucker underneath the oil pan, and shimmied back out. And the dog came sniffing around, couldn't smell it.
Oh,
And he's like, and then he did it a couple times, and the guy's like, did you hide the stuff? And my teacher's like, yeah, he hid it. And he's like, well, can you go get it? So I go back underneath the car, grab it from the oil pan, bring it back, give it to him. He's like, I don't know if I should be worried or impressed. 6-year-old knows how to hide something from a law enforcement dog. I was like, I don't know, but you might want to get him switched.
He needs to go back to training.
Yeah. Give him the lessons back.
Funny,
That's
dude.
crazy, man. That's
So
fucking
now that you're
hilarious.
down here, you doing the the PO stuff, and it's mainly grown-ups now, right?
Yeah,
what's
it's
the
all grown-ups.
average age you dealing with right now?
Damn, man, I got everything under the sun. I got anywhere from kids that are 20 all the way to I got somebody that's like I think she's like 79.
She's 79.
Yeah,
She.
yeah.
How old are you? I'm sorry.
I just turned 30 in October.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've
79.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And there's older people than that. Other people.
Can you
that-
say what she did?
No, I cannot.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
I just care. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel that.
I already know.
Eat at
So
me,
what
you know.
the 79-year-old lady do, bro?
So what do you see is the biggest thing that you're dealing with currently? What's the the most fashionable crime right now in this area, in this time point of time?
Drugs is always a big thing. Like in the 80s, it was crack. Right now, it was fentanyl. Fentanyl is huge everywhere, and literally, if you test positive for fentanyl, like we got not legally, but like our policy is like, listen, man, you're testing positive for fentanyl. If we let you leave here, it only takes a grain of fentanyl to OD. So if we let you leave here, it's now
You OD
we're
and now you're
trying to
done.
save you at this point. So it's not like a punishment thing. Like usually we'll recommend like treatment for them, stuff like that. But like for our good conscience, we can't let you leave here.
So how do you test?
A pee test. So they make a pee in a cup, and then
Right there on the spot?
yeah, we'll go into the bathroom with him, which is it's hilarious because a lot of people get stage fright. Like I had one dude, and he ended up pooping. Like he pooped himself while we were
God damn.
trying to.
Pushing hard.
No, he was just scared.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I started smelling something that smelled like poop.
Shit.
Like shit.
I was like, yo, man. I was like, you alright? He's like, I shit myself. I was like, what? Because that was like the first time I heard it. I was like, you said you shit yourself. He's like, yeah. I was like, well, you need to clean that up, but I still need a sample. And then obviously he tested positive, ended up going. But
Dang.
Did you let him at least shower?
no.
So how you put him with the shitty pants in the car?
No, I let him wipe himself. And
Mm.
then he got done wiping himself. And then we proceeded with the drug test, and he tested positive, so he had to go.
Fuck. No, that you're saying the drugs is big right now. Is it, you just saying because I know that thing when it happened, bunch of famous people basically got dead for using cocaine that was laced with fentanyl.
Or
right? And
pills.
yeah.
What is the most known drug that you see that is laced with fentanyl?
A lot of it's meth now, man, because meth, you throw everything under the sun in it. You can go in your kitchen cabinet and make some meth. You know what I'm saying? So now they're like, all right, well, let me throw a little bit of this fentanyl in there. Now you're trying to chase that high, and you'll never get that first high again. So if anybody's done like I was telling you the story about Zen with doing the first nicotine, you'll never get that again.
Right.
So they're all chasing that high, and they end up needing doing more and more and more of it, and then that's when you OD.
So meth, fentanyl. Okay, and then what? But second to meth, what would you say?
I like he said, they're throwing in cocaine too now. So if you know a little bit about drugs, pure cocaine is yellow,
Mhm.
and then they start mixing stuff into it, and that slowly turns it into white stuff. Well, now fentanyl, you can change it. It can be crystallized. It can be powder. You can smoke it. You can snort it. You can do all kinds of stuff with fentanyl. So now,
Well, how the fuck do you snort fentanyl when the little
You-
tiny grain will kill the
well,
whole
that's the
community?
thing. So now it's laced with
It's
stuff.
laced. It's
So
not
you'll-
straight fentanyl.
So you'll crush up the stuff or whatever you do for the cocaine, snort it, is laced with fentanyl. Now you're ODing, and that's another big one. So it's usually meth and then fentanyl, or meth and then cocaine.
And then second to drugs, what is the biggest crime, criminal problem you'd say?
Um, a lot of petty theft.
That's what I was
There's a lot of
thinking,
petty
theft,
theft, and then
What- What's
I
the-
wonder if that comes from the homelessness.
actually a lot of them are
area.
homeless. They
No.
just be stealing stuff.
Oh shit.
Well,
Okay.
they got no money. I mean,
And then when they like, I think it's funny because sometimes they make them do like a anti-theft class that's like 3 hours. And I was like, oh, what'd you learn from there? They're like, well, they told us not to steal. I was like, well, that's good.
For 3 hours, they
Yeah.
told you that? That's crazy.
the
But-
re-education part. is
Yeah.
insane.
I mean, that's why it's hard to rehabilitate a lot of people because there's not of resources out there, and then there's also bad resources that people try to take advantage of the people. Where so you'll send them to like a treatment place where the treatment place isn't bad, but that's the one that's contracted. So it's kind of hard. So you kind of have to be like that extra crutch for that person. Like, hey man, what did you guys go over in class, or what did you guys do this? All right, now what tools are you doing to implement this? And so you kind of have to be that second crutch for them. But a lot of the people,
Because some people don't have a support system either.
exactly.
What's your caseload like? What would you say? How many cases you have? 100, 200, 300?
Currently active cases, because I got the caseload I got is like kind of higher risk. So like the way ours thing is, it's like a CPO1, CPO2, which is like a senior, and then a specialist, which gets all the sex offenders and stuff like that. So I'm right under the sex offenders. So I got like max cases where I got to go out X amount of times to see them, and they got to come into the office. So
Would you ever want to work the sex offenders or not really? I
honestly,
don't know if I'd be able to do that one. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
would
that
be
one's a
the
rough
hard one.
one. That
it,
one's very
it's
rough.
difficult, but like once you start working in law enforcement, and you come from like a rough area, it's easy to cut off emotions.
That's true.
So
A
like
lot of people come like detached.
No,
yeah.
when I'm saying emotions, meaning like I would want to probably choke them.
See,
You know
that's
what I
the
mean?
thing. You got to cut off all emotions because you see some of the messed up stuff, whether it's do like it's when people talk about it, they like joke around like, oh, like having sex with animals, but that's a real thing. People are really into that. And then there's also obviously diddling kids, which is not a, which is
That probably
fucking
that would be the one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then you're doing like searches on houses, and then all of a sudden, now you come across a laptop and it has child porn on it. What are you gonna do? You can't choke them out right then and there, you know, and you can't hurt the person because
That's a lawsuit.
yeah. And so you
I'm
gotta
gonna
be
arrest you too.
you gotta be detached. Well, you gotta have your know with all, but you kind of have to have your emotions in check for this job because people are gonna poke and pry, and as soon as they find out what you don't like, that's what they're gonna run with. So you gotta really keep everything called like going back. Like I've had a dude say he was gonna slap me. I was like, okay, you can't get mad. You can't see red, whatever the hell that people say.
Hmm.
So you just gotta keep your emotions in check. I will say that's probably the hardest part for a lot of people, there's another reason that there's a revolving door. Cause
Do
they
you
can't
see
handle it.
yourself sometimes in other parts of life doing that on accident? Kind of like checking out your emotions when you're like, damn, maybe I shouldn't be checking out on my emotions right now.
I actually do it a lot, which is, but that's from growing up in a rough area.
Okay,
Like,
not necessarily the job.
yeah, so I was already kind of calloused when I got into the job. So like when I first saw my first dead body, I was like 5 years old. So like it wouldn't be no thing walking to school, getting off the bus, and there's like a mom crying over their whatever whoever
Yeah, I
passed
can
away.
definitely see how you became desensitized
Yeah,
very
and
from a very young early age.
so like the worst thing, which is why I don't like rodents, is I was going to go play at my elementary school, but you had to jump a fence to get over it because our school was fenced in, so you had to jump a fence. So we would be jumping a fence. Well, there's a drain there, and someone dumped a body there, and the drain's attached to the sewer, so the rats were eating on the people. Was eating on that dude, and when you see something like that for your first time, you're gonna look like you're just gonna watch. Well, the rat ran at me when it was because I don't know if it thought I was attacking it or what. So I threw
Yeah.
the basketball at the rat, bro, and took off. And then my friends were over the fence, wondering where I went. I was gone, bro. Yeah. So even to this day, like I'm cool with rodents. Like I'll see them, I'm not touching them. You know what I'm saying?
So
I think jump scared you.
Yeah, man.
so let me ask you this because I didn't know this till a while. You know, like apparently in the state of Florida, if you're with your girl and you're smashing in a car, both of you going to jail and both of you getting that sex offender fucking charge.
Yeah.
How many people like that you run into?
There's a lot of people, man, which like,
So that's like they don't. Are they really a sex offender? You know what I mean?
well, you mostly get indecent exposure,
Yeah.
which is not a sex offender crime. Now, if you do it like I don't know, Florida is weird, man, because they got like these damn islands that you can go to, and then they have those little pineapples that they hang up or whatever. So then people are just doing all kinds of crazy shit on
Yeah.
these islands.
The upside down pineapple shit.
Yeah, and I never heard of that, so I got to Florida too. So that was I thought people.
Oh
just
wait,
like
have you heard of the villages?
I barely found out about this like
Oh
a
my
month ago.
gosh.
And
Dude.
so
We did a whole episode on this thing.
my buddies were joking, talking about they're gonna take me to this village. Now I'm thinking in Cali, bro, you're going to a village. We're gonna go see some like Native Americans or something. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna go to this village. Go to this village. So I told one of my other coworkers, I was like, yeah, man. I was like, some of my homies want to take me to this village, and they're like, what village is that? I was like, I don't know. I guess you gotta get on a boat and go over, and then there's like a village, and people are just chilling on the village. They're like, oh, you don't want to go there. I was like, why? He's like, everybody be fucking over there. I was like, you're right. I don't want to go there.
And they use loofahs to indicate the different color loofahs indicate what kind of a
Like,
fucking
would
they're
you watch
into.
yourself with?
Yeah,
The
pull it up,
loofah-
Miggy, pull it up. The Florida villages loofahs. You'll see, bro. They'll have it on their cars or like they'll be hanging them in their houses. Like each color signifies something, and they'll have multiple colors, which means like they're down to like.
Are you serious?
Yeah, bro.
That's wild, bro. I
The-
barely knew about this fucking pineapple, and now there's a loofah code.
Yeah, right there.
So blue, the lowest level of swap of full swap, those who can play well with others. White, novices and beginner. Yellow, mid-level swap for those who want to have fun but are still nervous. Purple,
Voyeur.
people who like to watch. Black, full swap, those who want to say what the hell and go all the way down. Pink, soft swap, people who like to do it with others in the room. Teal, bisexual for those who want to increase their dating chances.
Yeah, so they'll have these loofahs, color loofahs.
Bro, this
hanging
is
up
like a
there.
graphic made by them, the Villages. Look
Yeah,
at that
yeah, yeah.
shit, bro.
Bro, they got
Yeah, that's
they got a
the thing.
belt system for loofahs.
Yeah,
Yes,
they got a belt.
there's a
Yeah.
belt system,
I wonder if they get stripes on this shit. How do you graduate from blue to yellow? You know what I mean?
That's wild.
How many
bro.
stripes does that take?
Now that watching thing is a big thing, bro. Like I never heard of this until I got to college when I went to go play JUCO ball, and there's some crazy people out there that like I'm probably gonna get in trouble with this with my girl, but I was linked up with somebody, didn't know they were married, and we were doing extracurricular activities.
Well, that was before her, so it don't matter.
yeah, but they were doing extracurricular activities, and I heard something in the closet.
Oh yeah, I heard this story.
I was like, what the fuck's going on in the closet? So I'm like, whatever. So we keep doing extracurricular activities. And then
They're painting. That's what they're talking about.
and then
Painting and
the
drawing.
closet opens. I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm in the nude.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And he jumps out and he's like, no. Keep doing what you're doing. This man is wearing a Superman shirt. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. So he goes to the bathroom. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we finish what we're doing. This dude comes back, and the juices that were left, he licks them up.
Oh my god.
Now, you think,
God
you
damn.
think it's funny that it would happen.
He choked on it.
You would think it
It
would
was
only
traumatized.
you think it would only happen once. It did not only happen once. This happened another time 2 months later with a different person.
Same guy?
No, different person.
Oh, okay.
I didn't put two and two together because there was a recliner chilling in the room. And I was like, well, that's fucking weird. There's a recliner just chilling in somebody's room. I was like, whatever. I'm young, dumb, 18, doing whatever. Dude comes home from work. I automatically think that again, we're about to start fighting.
Yeah.
So I jump out, ready to fight this dude. He's like, no. He's like, I had a long day at work. I just want to depress and watch. I was like, okay, what the hell? Now it's happening my second time. Now I'm kind of comfortable. So keep doing what we're doing, right? And then get done. He's like, I love watching my girl do extra stuff with colored people.
Oh shit.
I was like, well, good for you, bro. I was like, I'm gonna skedaddle and cut out, bro.
Skedaddle.
Yeah. And I ain't never heard of that. Like, I don't know if it's because I never thought of it or what, or if I was sheltered from it.
I don't know. I hadn't heard of that until like you see like artists. There's this artist named Osuna that got like he's a Puerto Rican and Dominican reggaeton artist, and he got like outed basically like before he became an artist. He was like doing porn, and he was and in one of the videos he was that guy in the corner of the room, you know. So
Dude looks like Daddy Yankee.
Yeah, it's like a younger version, yeah.
Hey,
darker,
Yankee just
younger
broke
version.
up with his wife.
Oh shit.
after
They've
a
been together for
very
like
long time.
30, 40 years.
I didn't know
man.
he was still alive, to be honest with you.
Bro, Daddy Yankee still looks like he's 20, bro.
yeah,
He
He don't
he's-
age,
he
bro.
looks
His
young,
girl
look-
though did not age very well. That's for sure.
Changed
Oh,
like
shit.
Was
milk,
that
bro.
the reason?
Probably.
Yeah, bro. Look, dude.
Look what he still looks like. It's crazy.
Jesus. Does she do drugs?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh damn, son.
Like she's caked up there for sure. But
Yeah, she's got a.
You
pound of
ain't gonna
makeup.
find a photo not caked
even
up.
back
That's
then,
back then. I mean, back then she was pretty.
it's
She
But
needs-
that picture right there in the center.
So women do not age like wine.
she need to sue her hairdresser.
Oh shit! But yeah, look up a picture of Daddy Yankee now, so you can see how
So,
like, he hasn't
he
aged.
looks
Talking
the
about
same.
you're talking about Cali. We're talking about Florida, right? Back in the day, I had a job. It was a merchant services. We talked about this, but
This is the picture
Basi-
that I saw. Right here.
Sheesh.
damn.
It
Yeah.
look
Yeah,
like-
but look at him in the middle. That's him now still. He hasn't
That's wild.
aged at all.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
What was his mom?
Man, she got a forehead on her. Look at her.
it's a 5 head. It's not a 4 head. It's a 5 head.
What were you gonna say about Florida?
So I did merchant service. Merchant service is basically like you go. It's a business to business. It's very aggressive marketing strategy where you go business to business, kind of like solar panel people, and you try to solicit people, businesses, to change their merchant services. Because merchant services, the way they work, every time you swipe a credit card, that person that owns the shop has to pay X amount of fee for swipe for the service. So you go in there and say, I can get you basically lower percentage. So I was being lazy one day and I was like, I'm just gonna do it within the city, right? Bigger cities, they're usually saturated. People don't really want to talk to you, but I've been being lazy. So I went to one of the sex shops to get them to swap.
That's why
And
you went there.
yeah.
Not for the
And
back
then as
room.
I'm walking there, these dudes are walking out and they're just like looking at me and smiling and like nodding and shit. And I'm like, bro, that's so fucking weird. Like, why? What the fuck's going on? Like, little too friendly. You know what I mean? Just a little bit too friendly. And I don't understand this. So after a while talking, having a conversation, I found out that a lot of the sex shops here have
Back
these
rooms.
back rooms where they have the little fucking holes, whatever the holes are called.
A
And
glory hole.
is that what it's called? So they
Mhm.
go in there and stick their penis in there, and
I gotta
somebody on
check
the other
my-
side,
My history.
yeah.
From what I've heard that some of the sex shops around here are basically like they have these back rooms that is just for fucking gay dudes that are
Yes.
are still in the
In
closet,
the closet, yeah.
basically, to go.
And a
have gay
lot of them
sex.
have back rooms, apparently. A lot of them will have back rooms where they have these fucking couches and shit, and people will go in there. Those upside down pineapple shit. It's like a party.
I've been into a sex store once, and the one time I went in, I had already known about this, right?
So you
And I
back
went
there?
in. No, I went in. And I'm like, the building does look a lot bigger from the outside. Like there's
Yeah.
definitely some hidden space in here.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
crazy. I didn't know about this until when the girl was telling me this. After I like kind of like was nice about it because I'm still trying to sell services, right? Like I'm like, and then I fucking jetted right out of there because I
The
didn't know what
girl that worked there told you?
yeah.
That's crazy.
Because they're super open there, right? Like in those shops, they just talk about everything. They're fucking around dildos, vaginas, and dicks all day long.
Yeah,
So
you can't be
Well,
very serious.
yeah.
Pee Wee Herman got in trouble out here in Sarasota.
Who?
Pee Wee Herman.
Oh,
He
why?
was
I
at one
know.
of those damn thing like you said, and that's why he got arrested for indecent exposure because he was masturbating in the damn theater. It was one of those sex shops. They obviously they tore it down now, so what they told me. But yeah, Pee Wee Herman got arrested here in
Oh
Florida.
shit,
for
I
that.
didn't know that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I have heard about that. Like back in the day when you wanted to like watch those sketchy movies when it wasn't allowed. You would meet up in some theater, like some small ass theater somewhere, and it was apparently all illegal as fuck.
So I don't want you to expose anyone, right? No names or anything. Just yes and no will be okay. Have you heard of, or seen it, or dealt with famous people as a PO?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
That's cool. I hope it was cool.
Was
I
it
hope
like,
they were
hey,
nice.
bro, I need to take you away, but I need your signature before we take you
No,
away?
you
No?
can't take any favors from anybody working this job. Yeah, like people. There's a saying that's a joke amongst everybody that works in law enforcement. You come on vacation, leave on probation. So people come to Florida, have like a wedding or a party, and now you got charges for being drunk and disposer. So now you're trying to go back to like wherever state you're coming from. So you came on vacation, but now you're leaving on probation.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of professional athletes, a lot of like singers, stuff like that, always get put on probation.
For what usually? For like
Indecent exposure.
Indecent exposure, being drunk in public, Bat Leo, for like trying to fight law enforcement or pulling away from law enforcement. But most of those people go to like specialists and like higher up people because you don't want a groundwork person
yeah, 'cause
monitoring somebody. Like when AB was on probation, you probably don't want like a groundwork person working an AB case when he's a high level profile NFL player or any of those guys like Pac-Man Jones when he was like shot up that strip club and he got put on probation in like Ohio. I guarantee they didn't have a low worker working it. They had either a supervisor monitoring them or somebody higher.
and
Gotcha.
that's because of the exclusivity of the
Yeah,
fact.
because it's literally you'll get a call like, "Hey, this is what you have. This is who it is." You
Don't fuck
gotta-
it up.
Yeah, pretty much. Because anything they do is gonna hit media.
So let's talk about the vertical movement, right? Like what's the vertical movement within a department? Is it pretty? You said it's a revolving door, but I can assume like at those higher positions, the revolving door becomes slower and slower
Yeah,
and
it gets
slower.
less. So like back in the day, you would get like 30 plus year people. now no one wants to deal with like the low pay and stuff like that and all the stuff you have to deal with. So the CP ones, like the right out the academy, a lot of those people leave, left and right. Then you got the seniors, which is what I am, and a lot of the CPS ones that are staying will promote fast. So I got promoted pretty fast out the academy. I finished the academy in November, got certified, or I finished the academy beginning of November, got certified by the end of November, had a caseload in December, and I'm already promoted to a senior position in March.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. So then, but when you get to a specialist position, you gotta to know policy and everything under the book because now you're dealing with sex offenders and like high profile people, and that's when you need to know everything under the sun because sex offenders are the most well behaved, non well behaved people. Because you'll go to the house and everything will be spotless. You won't know anything until you do a search and dive of that house. And all of a sudden you gotta look at the nooks and crannies and like you won't understand. Like you think like a room will be cleared out, but then all of a sudden you look behind like a board or something, and now there's stuff stacked behind there. So like it's crazy to find places where people hide stuff.
What was the craziest thing you had to deal with where you're like, oh shit, I didn't even like expect this?
The hardest part is when you find stuff in like the kids' room. I was like, you're really gonna hide stuff in the kids' room? Like, come on, man. Now you put the kid in jeopardy, stuff like that. The funniest thing is we found some dude that had uh, what is it? It's like a liquid LSD type of thing, and he had it labeled that it was in a spray bottle. And we're like,
What did you do? Like a like
We're like-
fucking Lysol?
well, I don't know. I guess he was like putting it on like piece of paper and then selling it.
Yeah, that's what they do.
But then we're like, well, we know what this is because it's labeled, so we're gonna take this, and you got to come with us. Type of
Where's
thing.
the craziest place you've found someone hiding?
Oh, dude, I found someone hiding under a pair of like a pile of dirty clothes one time. Like you know, I can see your feet, right? Like,
Is that literally what you do? You're
Yeah.
like, you know, I can see your feet.
yeah,
right?
I'm like, all right, bro, come on. Like, recently I had someone hiding between a shed and underneath like a plywood, not plywood. What is those things that they like those things that they put stuff on and the forklifts lift up?
Pallet.
Yeah, they're between a pallet and a shed. I'm like, that's clever, but I could still see you. You
It
know,
looked like it looked like a goddamn zebra, motherfucker. Like, get out of there.
Was it at least nighttime?
no, it was during the day, man. It was
Dude
like
didn't
at
even
12.
try.
Yeah,
okay.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was the day before.
I'm just thinking like all those videos I've seen of guys just literally hiding in between like the mattress and the spring bed.
because when you so
It's like, yeah, I don't see the hump in the middle of the mattress.
your brain doesn't think. It just you get that fight or flight.
Yeah.
So their flight is trying to hide. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a littler person that tried to hide in the dog food thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
By the way, this dog food thing is like
It's
this
big.
big. It's
Yeah.
not very big. Yeah, that's insane, man. I guess people are gonna try and hide wherever.
yeah,
So what was
whatever.
the craziest, funniest story probably you had to deal with?
Not here in California. We were chasing this dude, and we tackled him, and we went through a fence, and he had to pay for the fence. So we tackled him through his neighbor's fence, and
Was it a wooden fence or one of
it
those
was a
plastic
wooden
fences?
fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took down the whole fence. Like,
Damn.
yeah, we hit it instantly. That side went off, and it must have been one of the pillar ones because it just started dominoing.
Oh
We're like, well,
shit.
he owes restitution now.
Damn, that's crazy.
Do you know if you ended up paying for it or no?
I don't know. Probably.
But he was supposed to.
Yeah. If not, it's a violation. Then he has to go back to jail.
Now, what's the one thing that you'll see people go back for, and you're like, bro, you didn't learn, like, I
Drugs.
thought-
A lot of
drugs.
it's drugs. Yeah, because it's the addiction, man. The addiction's so hard to kick, and like I've seen people be sober for like 6, 7 years, and all of a sudden someone passes away, or your girl leaves you, or you can't see your son or your daughter. Now that little thing, and the only your coping mechanism is drugs. So then they go right back to it, and you can see the downward spiral towards it. So like you can see them at their highest, and all of a sudden now they're not as talkative. Now things are slowly getting worse. Now they're disheveled, and you can see the it coming to.
Have you ever
crash.
been able to pull somebody back?
Yes. So, there's one dude. Wasn't my case. It was in California. This is when I was interning. Was his wife left him. It wasn't his. It wasn't her son, but she kicked out the son. So he started using, tested positive. Um, they let him go. He checked himself in. We checked him into rehab while he was waiting for whether they're going to do a notice to appear or a warrant for the judge. Checked himself into rehab. We caught him in the nick of time because he became suicidal, and he said he was gonna walk. If we let him walk out that day, he said he was gonna no longer be here with us. So that was one of the ones that we're like, all right, we're that part of the job is makes you do the job.
I see.
So
The little wins, those
yeah,
little wins
those
become
little
big
ones.
wins.
Because when you can change somebody's life, man, like I had kids that I worked in juvenile hall now find me and like message me on like Instagram or Facebook, and they're like, "Hey man, I know you may not remember me, which I do all the time. I remember all the kids." They're like, but what you told me or the like just the talks we had when I was in my cell, like that really helped me change the way I am. Now I have a kid, I'm working this job, this and that. And those things, like I had a kid, was good at football, just horrible home life. Get out of juvenile hall. He was there for like 7 months. Get out. He just texted me. He's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I'm doing good now. I'm actually playing football at a D1 school." He's like, "I would love for you to watch one of my games." So I'm not gonna say what school he's at because he's still there. But he's at that school, and I don't watch football, so every time that I see that school playing, I'll watch that game just to watch the kid play.
That's pretty
Absolutely.
cool.
I'm pretty sure I was gonna have one of my next questions, was probably my last question actually, is what was the coolest part about your job or best part? And I'd have to imagine that's
Yeah,
got to be
that's
the
the
best
part, yeah.
part, man. Is like hearing from someone, you changed my life,
Yeah.
and for the better in that case, right?
Yeah.
So, and for someone that was probably heading down a really bad road, it's not like the average person. The average person isn't catching charges. No, you're helping the worst of the worst in that case, in reality.
And so, what do you think is the biggest contributor to this? Like, is it the poverty? Is it the um, generational trauma, for lack of better fucking terms? You know what I mean? What do you think is the biggest
Think
thing
about
that?
the question. Well, for that, but I wanted to say extend the podcast by like 15 minutes. He's very interesting. I like it. So.
Okay. The only reason I was unless you have to go,
No,
my man's
I
my
got
man's
none but time.
My man's gonna be up at like
Hey,
3
that's
8,
okay
3
with me.
a.m.
Yeah,
That's
too,
but
man. You're
yeah, if you
interesting
want, we
dude.
can go for like another 10, 15, whatever. But
Yeah,
good question, yeah.
So, where was I going with this one?
yeah. Repeat. It's okay. I don't have
What's
to
the
edit
what do you
this.
think is the cause? Basically,
Yeah,
like,
the
what is
cause.
biggest
What was the
cause?
biggest
I mean,
cause
there's got to
of
be
these?
so many variables, man. There's so many.
It's everything you named. It's the poverty, the family, the home life, everything. Because you think about it, if life at home is so bad, you're not gonna want to be there. So I'm gonna go. My outlet is to go hang out with X amount of people. So if your home life's bad, you're not gonna want to be there. So now you're receptive to go to do stuff in the streets. Now you're hanging out with the wrong crowd, and then now you get caught up for something. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of the home life stuff. So it's pretty much all the stuff that you named off.
So I know this is kind of an oxymoron, but who's the smartest criminal you had to deal with, and what they do? And you're like, this motherfucker's smart, even though like they're not really smart for being criminals, but like the reason they're very good at being criminals is because they're smart. You
They're
know what I mean? Like,
crafty.
it's kind of like, what would you say?
Sex
No,
offenders. Sex offenders are
Yeah.
The
super
smartest.
smart, and then they'll go to prison and then learn from other sex offenders that are there, and take what they learn, and then bring it out here.
That's wild.
Yeah. So like,
do
So
they
you
do,
basically just sent that motherfucker off to boot camp.
yeah, pretty much
And
criminal boot camp.
do they keep them
For the
separate
worst
from Gen
crime
Pop,
ever.
or because Gen Pop doesn't really look
Yeah. So
in favor?
Florida is different than Cali. Cali, if you're a sex offender, you have to get put in like a not witness protection, like a protection, because a lot of the guys like they get stripes for
Shivving someone or whatever.
for getting sex offender or something like that. Out here, they have certain prisons they can go to, but I'm pretty sure that they have them go to like a
Their own unit
like
kind of thing.
yeah like protection type of units.
And that's crazy. And everyone else is protected, so they're all intellectual. They sit around the fucking table and
Yep.
chop it up how to hide shit better.
Let's play some cards. and
Have you
figure out-
ever I mean, of course, we've been talking about sex offenders, talking about mentally ill people,
Mhm.
right? So, but I mean, I remember watching this episode of a show that was about a doctor, and they had a case where this guy wasn't like basically he understood what he was doing was wrong. He didn't want to do it, but he had like an unstoppable urge.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like really I looked it up, and it's actually like a legit condition.
Yeah.
Right, versus like you have some sex offenders that just they straight up do like kids.
Yeah.
Right, versus there's some that have this really weird condition that don't like kids, but it's this weird urge that they have.
Yeah.
Right. Have you ever run into a case like that, or heard of like actual case like that where it's not necessarily the actual want to do so?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Like I said, my degree was in psychology, so we saw so much stuff like this. Like there was a dude, and he was outspoken that he liked little boys, but he knew he wasn't supposed to act on it. He knew it was something wrong with him.
Right.
You can also pull up like YouTube stuff called like Pervert Park. That's here in Florida. That's in Pinellas Park.
Pervol?
Pervert Park.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah.
There's a whole area,
Yeah.
where they're supposed to
But there's
live,
a guy
right?
on there that's a sex offender, and he knows that it's wrong, and he even talks about
That's right off of 54th Avenue, I think. The Pervert Park. It's like a little trailer
There's a
park where they all
documentary
live.
on
There's a
Yeah,
whole
you-
documentary.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
There's a whole
This is
documentary.
pull up the picture. You'll see. Yeah, so this is right next to. See, that's the racetrack right across the street from 54th and Highway. That trailer park
Palace
right there.
Mobile
That's
Home Park.
all where they kind of like.
Yeah.
That's where they. That's the only area here that they can live because
Mhm.
it's supposed to be away from a bunch of things, right? Which is
Schools
kind of
and
funny
all that
because
stuff.
down the road there's a high school.
But it's 1,000 feet from where they live.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
My,
So
my man knows all the rules. Trust me.
yeah. So that's like these perverts, right? Like these sexual deviants that are like messing with the kids. That's the reason. That's one of the biggest reasons where the LGBT community exists. Whether you like it, don't like it, whether you agree with it, don't
You go
agree
through
with it.
there, you're gonna hear, what's the
And
character's name? Herbert the Perv. You want a popsicle?
Oh, is that from Family Guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Wait for the paper boy.
yeah. So these perverts are really the reason where there's been a lot of genetic testing trying to figure out whether being LGBTQ is part of your genetic makeup or not, but they will never be able to say that it is, because the minute they say that it is, that means that's going to become a genetic defect right now, and now they're not criminals anymore because
You're gonna
that's
have
what
all
they are.
these straight dudes get tested, and they're like, "You have the gene. I ain't gay.
Yeah.
I ain't gay. What you talking about?"
Yeah, well, it's not about being gay, right? Like because that's when the pervert's gonna push for it by saying this is a genetical condition. You can't take me to jail for it.
And there's actually studies on that already at universities, like high-end universities, Harvard, stuff like that they're doing research on it and talking to these guys. So, like a lot of people, if they're like you're big on like mental stuff, like there's a lot of studies out there that you can look at.
That's why they have to approach it with soft sciences such as psychology, so on and so forth, because they cannot say that this is because hard science would be like proving it. You have this gene, and this is why you are that way.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing you can do about it. But that's why they're approaching it with psychology by saying, hey, listen, this is a mental condition. We can train you out of it. That's why this will never become a thing. They'll never prove it that, you are, let's say, gay, bisexual, or trans because of your genetic makeup, which is kind of crazy
How
if you think about it.
Back to your job. How often do you run into cases where people get physical, like they actually get aggressive and physical, or most people pretty chill, like, all right, I messed up, and
Man, I don't know what it is about this.
Bro, he's the guy that kicks the fucking door in.
I don't
Like
get-
he's the guy that kicks the door in. If Chris comes in, kicks your fucking door in, what are you gonna do?
I don't know what it is. There's a lot of it's like flapping your gums out here. Like other big thing I had to learn about Florida. Where like in Cali, if you honk at somebody, it's automatic fight on site. And out here, people just do that to communicate. So
you have no idea what that means. Like, for example, out here, at least like when you honk at someone, sometimes they'll flick you off and stuff like. But most people won't stop on the side of the road, like what you're saying, right? And straight up fight. If you go to like where I'm from in the Dominican Republic, bro, honking is literally
cussing people out.
right? There's no like offense to it. At least here, like you're still getting flicked off. Like people are still like doing hand signals and getting mad and stuff. Maybe they won't fight, like you're saying, pull over. But over there, man, you the whole time the city is beep 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 beep.
Yeah.
Like you're constantly just hearing honking all the time.
Everywhere.
yeah, man, that took me a little while to get used to. I was like, why does everybody want to fight? I was like, we can. I was like, that's not the first thing on my agenda today.
Yeah.
Like it's
For me,
it's
was the
6:30.
I
Like,
still gotta get coffee,
for me
man.
was for me was the opposite. You know, when we were driving on the street, first came to United States, and somebody's blocking the road, and my aunt, you know, we came to stay with my aunt, and the guy wasn't moving. I was like, just honk. She's like, no, you can't do that because that's like a
Aggressive.
aggressive thing. I was like, what do you mean it's an aggressive thing? That's normal. You just honk them. That's why you have this horn. That's what the fucking thing is there for, to
told me on
indicate
the
to go. It's like,
test.
no, not here. Back home, it's just everybody, beep, 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 you know.
yeah, when I went to Europe, that everybody was honking. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know why nobody's fighting right now. And that's just being young,
That's happened to me for sure. Like when I have family members come over from the Dominican Republic and they start driving here, and I'll be in the car with them, and there's like someone out in the barely in their lane, and they're trying to just like beep beep to get out the way, and then for them they like carry up, like they don't even think about it twice. They carry about their day, but you look over and the dude that just honked at is like flipping out, ready to
Yeah.
fuck him up, and he didn't even look at him. You know, like he didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely different.
Definitely different. What do you think is the biggest shock for you from California here?
Is it true?
Like
that
social
it-
shock.
it-
Let me ask that question differently. It's social, like people, the way we act, or anything like
I
that.
think in California, you know, we hear California being very liberal. I think California is very liberal. It does higher echelons. I think everyone else is kind of like just trying to fucking survive in California. That's what
Yeah.
that's what how
So
I
it
think
depends
of it.
where you go. So like you go to like San Francisco or something, it's a lot different than you go into like where
Chico.
I'm from or something like that. Yeah. So like if you go to like certain parts of LA, you're like, all right, listen. So like one of the tips is like if the streetlights are shot out, you don't want to drive down that road because they're gonna jack you. Or you'll go to another part and it's crazy because they're doing that. They're buying everything and then reamping everything. So like you go to Oakland, and Oakland used to be like a
Oakland Park is
Park,
known for
yeah,
fucking
poverty. But then you go across the street, now there's like mansions. So you walk across the street, now you're in somebody else's mansion. You go across the street, now there's just like Skid Row homeless people. And you're just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I go across here, I'm getting the cops called on me. I go over here, I'm getting the cops called on me.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
it just depends, man. It just depends where you go in California. Like, I remember when I was in school, they wanted to split the state of California and name the top part Jefferson State and the bottom part be California because it's such a divide with the politics stuff.
right there, that line, Grass Valley, Chico, all that's all fucking straight up. That's all red.
Yep.
That's all red. Everything below that is all blue. And,
Yeah, but
and you can tell literally the air smells different.
Yeah, right when you go up there, it's like totally different, man. Like it's just like I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I said, I was a ghetto kid. I didn't know there's life past Sacramento. So my college is 2 hours past Sacramento. So when we passed Sacramento, I was like, okay, we're fucking Oregon, you know. And then they're like, all right, still in California. Now you're going another 2 hours. I was like, I didn't know there was life past Sacramento. I thought it was just Sacramento, Oregon.
yeah,
And there's like a whole nother world out there that's like nothing but trees and stuff. I was like, why didn't
Yeah.
anybody ever tell me about this? Like, I'm
Yeah.
used to like,
It kind of low-key looks like fucking looks like Tennessee, man. Like you driving through Smoky Mountains. That area right there, like Lake Tahoe, North Lake Tahoe and above is just fucking, it's like two different worlds.
yeah. What was the biggest like social shock between the people in California and the people in Florida?
the hardest part for me right now is everybody just talks out here, and like everybody just flaps their gums. Where in California, it's not like that as much. Granted, what you see on social media is like in the bigger cities like L.A., San Diego,
Right.
San Francisco, where like you go into like the rougher areas, nobody's talking. Like if they don't know you and you're walking through there, they're gonna walk across the street because they don't know who you are. So that's the biggest thing out here where everybody is a lot friendlier. I guess it's weird to say. So like I'll be walking, now certain people still walk across the street just because of whatever reason, but a lot of people will be like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Are you talking to me right now?" Like,
Why are you even saying that? Yeah.
yeah, I was like,
That was my biggest thing coming from different countries. Like, you know, people for many years I wouldn't smile. I worked in a restaurant, I wouldn't smile, and people would be like, you need to smile more. I'm like, why? Did you say something funny? Like, did you say a joke? I'm sorry, did I miss your joke? Like,
yeah,
and it took me a minute to get to that point where I would smile and say hi to people in a row. Like, I don't fucking know you. What
yeah,
fuck you?
So it's
Are you
weird. Like,
mind?
as I grown up, I've kind of been one of those people that I don't like to make new friends, but I'm a friendly person because I grew up in St. Petersburg. So I know how to make conversation. I'm one of those people that, like, if I get into an elevator, hey, how you doing today, man?
Yeah.
You know, like, that's just because I grew up my entire 23 years of life right here in St. Petersburg, so I'm used to that. And it's funny, I asked one of my cousins that lives back in Dominican Republic one of the weirdest things she found about the U.S., and it was that, like, why do you guys all say hi to each other?
Yeah. Like we'll be on like I'm not gonna lie, man. We went to Vegas one time for my uncle's wedding, and some lady was trying to talk to me. I was like, well, there's the second floor, and I'm trying to go on like the 9th floor. She's talking to me. I was like, well, there's the 3rd floor. And I'm just facing the damn buttons going up, lighting up. I'm like, come on, man, come on, 9th floor, 9th floor. And then she's like, have a good day. I was like, oh, you were talking to me this whole time?
Damn.
I was like, well, I guess you have a good day too. And this lady was having a full conversation with me. I was just looking at the buttons going.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing for me too. But then you after years you get around it.
I feel like living here so long, and we have so many tourists and people that come to live here that aren't from here originally. I've picked up on when I can tell, like, when I say, like, oh, how you doing today? If you're from here and you're used to that, or maybe not from here but just used to that, or you're not, right? I can pick that up almost instantly just by, like, your facial reaction and how you conceive that exact moment, because it's very easy, like, when it's natural, like, oh yeah, how you doing, or versus like, why is this person talking to me?
Yeah.
Right. So it's a very different reaction. You can read it very quickly.
Yeah, it took me a little while to get used to it, because they'll be like, hey, what's up? I'm like, it's just us two. Who are you talking to?
I don't know you. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's the thing about California too. They'll be like, hey, like what's up? And usually that can be either like, what's up, like where you from, trying to fight, or hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And you got to determine which one it is, and
right,
then act accordingly. Or out here, they're like, hey, what's up? I'm like, oh, you really just saying what's up? Like, okay, I don't have to think of the other two.
I think I just have like one final question before we cut it out. Are they still banging because of colors in California?
Oh yeah, man. There's certain places where you can't wear any other color but gray or black.
And
like,
gray or black? When did that become a thing? Because it was a blue or red at first, right? And then you just.
Well, no, that's the colors. But if you're like not somebody that does any of that, you have
I
to
see what you're saying.
You have to wear gray or black. Like you can't wear a
yellow, brown, green, none of that shit.
Nope, you can't wear LA's hat in LA unless you're from like Crips or 18th Street or something like that. You can't wear a Boston hat because that's Bloods. Like there's so much stuff that you gotta. I didn't realize you just know it when you live there. But like you bring somebody like for a visit and they're like,
their whole
like,
apparel.
hey, you can't wear that. But like why? I'm like, because you can't wear that. That's where we're from. But then I'm like, oh wait, I gotta explain why you can't wear this. So that's another
crazy
big thing.
I'll be fucked because everything in my fucking drawer is all colorful.
Nah, I wear all black.
I've been trying to usually stay black lately, black and white, but everything is colorful. All my hats, orange, blue, fucking you name it. All the colors.
Black
of the
and gray for me. My whole closet is full of black and gray. The only blue you're gonna see is my jeans, brother. Like, I mean, but is it like so picky out there? Like where like the red on my shoes? No, they wouldn't like.
No, because you're look like dad shoes, so they're not gonna say what type of thing. But if you wear those ones, now you look like a Latin king. So now they're gonna be like, well, where are you from? Like, and then they'll start asking you questions that only that part of that organization would know. And if you don't know it, then they'll call you a poser. Like I've seen people get their shit snatched off them. Like that's why you'll see like rappers go to California and get their chains snatched. But if you see rappers that are from California, they're not wearing chains unless they're performing. So like that guy that got killed in that little
because his girl posted where they are eating breakfast.
For his chain.
Yeah.
Where if you look at like Ice Cube, you look at Dr. Dre, you look at Eazy-E, none of them wear chains.
That's okay. It's a good question for the end there, Mickey. Appreciate that. And appreciate you, man. We appreciate you coming on, man.
Well, we gotta do it again. Looks like we might have been able to touch the tip of the iceberg, bro. On this one.
Love to do it again, man. Appreciate you coming on, taking the time to come over here.
Man.
Thanks for all those in the chat. Again, guys, I know this has been a full episode. Again, our sponsors: Vitality, St. Pete and Pinellas Park, UFC Gym, Largo, and Pinellas Park. Loading.
Comment, subscribe, guys. We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Yeah,
we're tuning in.
You know, we're kind of trying to stick to the original idea of talking to everyday people that you never knew half the stories.
Yeah, the guests. I like having guests often. This is nice. So yeah, thank you again, Chris. We'll bring you on again, and thank you everyone at home for watching and tuning in for us. We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Peace.